Oh my goodness, we have already reached the end of season 4. That's right. We are at the final episode, the season finale, and I can't believe it. So let's just take a moment because I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening, for watching, for being here. If you've been here since the beginning, since season 1, which launched in February 2022, oh my goodness, thank you. If this is your first episode, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. As you know, my podcast is built into seasons. So we are taking a break for the summer, but don't worry, I will be back with season 5 in the fall. But for now, to close off this wonderful season that we just had, I wanted us to look back on a few of the key themes and key topics that kept coming up. So, whether it was my solo episodes or interviewing some great guests from all over the world, there were 3 topics that kind of kept recurring. And I love when that happens because that means that it's meant to be. It's meant to be. It's meant to be talked about. It's meant to be discussed. People are thinking about it. People are dealing with it. So there's a reason why these 3 topics kept coming up, and I wanted to highlight them today. So even if this is your first episode listening, I invite you to go back and listen to the season or even previous episodes to kind of catch up on everything that we've been talking about. But let me just give you a resume, a summary of these 3 topics. So, the first topic is breaking the rules that were never meant for you in the first place. I know I talked about that a lot about breaking the rules, rewriting the rules, revisiting these rules, and asking yourself, are these the rules that I really want to be following? And why am I following these rules? Are they still working for you? So, whether we were talking about perfectionism, people pleasing, overachieving, the good girl conditioning, there was a whole episode on that, or just the pressure to have it all together, this season asked you to get honest about the boxes you were trying to fit into and also question whether they're actually working for you. That's the main thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention. Like, I want to help you think differently. I want to help you bring things to light and just start to get curious. Get curious about what's working for you, what's no longer working for you, instead of staying in autopilot. So, one of the main things was really all about what are these rules? What are these boxes I'm trying to check? And do they still work for me? Why? Because we've been taught to perform. We've been conditioned to do things a certain way. And that doesn't mean that we're bad or we're wrong. It's just a way of being. And if you're open to seeing different ways of being to align with a lifestyle and choices that reflect who you really are, well, then that's what I'm here to encourage you to do. So, when it comes to these rules, we've been taught to prove our worth. We've been shrinking to meet everyone else's expectations, to not take up too much space. We try to be successful by doing it a certain way, that we can't take time for ourselves, that if we rest, we're lazy. Like all of these conditioning behaviors take a toll if they're not aligned with who you are. And that's the invitation to just get honest and ask yourself, does this really align with who I am? Because you can't build a fulfilling life by following rules that were designed to keep you small. And if you don't know where to start, here's one question you can ask yourself. Where in your life are you still trying to be good or nice instead of being real? And that is an indication of a great place to start. Just getting curious. Again, the invitation is just to start asking questions and to just start seeing what is it that has potential to be different or be better. The second theme that we explored multiple times in different ways was all about coming home to yourself. Now, what does that mean? Well, it wasn't just about purpose and passion. We did talk about that too, but it was more about trust, having trust within yourself, trusting your inner voice, listening to your inner voice, listening to your body, honoring your truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's terrifying, and especially when it's unfamiliar. So we talked about guilt, about burnout, about letting go of the masks that you wear so you can finally rest, breathe, and truly feel. Because real growth is not always pretty. It can look like crying in your car, saying no when you really want to say yes, and then feeling all the feels associated with that. Or even just letting go of the version of you that everybody else was comfortable with. But that in between phase, that messy middle between where you were and where you want to go, that I had a whole episode on that too. That's where the magic happens. And that's where your power is, because that's where the transformations start to occur, where you're letting go, you're shedding what no longer serves you, those old patterns, that old identity, the old associations, those old stories that are keeping you in a certain belief, maybe keeping you on autopilot, keeping you thinking that you have to prove yourself or doing things a certain way. Once you start to become aware of that, you start to wake up to what else is possible. And then you get to that in between phase that's the navigation of where do I want to go? And this is where it gets unfamiliar and it can feel scary because it's new territory for you. But trust me when I say that this is the pivotal moment. This is when you are going to start learning more about yourself. If you decide to get honest and get curious, this is where you start to be able to ask yourself these important questions of what do I want now? What am I ready to shed? What am I ready to let go of? And what can I step into? How can I have the courage to start building this new lifestyle and this new way that I want to be living every day? And if it's just like, I want to wake up and not dread going to work, or I want to wake up in the morning and feel excited. I want to have more time in my day to do things for myself. I want to have more harmony between work and life. I want to improve my relationships. I want to strengthen those bonds, those connections. I want to try something new. I want to challenge myself with a new skill. I want to start a new job. I want to start a new project. I want to launch a business. All of those things are born in the in between phase because that's where you are open to seeing more possibilities and more opportunities than what you currently know. And then comes the courage because you got to start taking those steps forward and know that the feeling you feel and the nervousness can also be disguised excitement because you're trying something new. And often, what happens in this phase is that we wait. We wait to feel ready. We wait to get clear on what the whole roadmap is to that new thing that we're trying to do. But how many times did I say this season? Probably in almost all my podcast episodes. Clarity comes from action. If you're waiting for clarity to appear, you're going to be waiting a long time. You need to make a choice. You need to say, I am moving forward with this one small step. And so let me ask you an important question. What are you ready to admit to yourself, even if it scares you? What is something you've always wanted to do? What is something that no longer works for you? What is something that you feel maybe is missing or could be better in your life? These are the hard questions that we need to ask ourselves that can kind of be scary. And they're scary because you know that when you answer them, maybe it's going to reveal that some change is needed, and change is scary. So let me reassure you that this is only the first step, the reflection, the awareness, and then you get to choose how you want to move forward. So, speaking of moving forward, the final theme is all about those mindset shifts that help move you forward. Because sometimes it's just about your thinking pattern, it's about the stories that you're telling yourself, it's about the thoughts that you have and what importance you place on them. And if I can remind us of that sequence of thoughts that lead to emotions, which then lead to behavior and actions, which over time become who you are, then we can start at the source and say those thoughts need to maybe change to give me the emotions that will help me feel what I want to feel, to then behave in a way that is beneficial to the person I want to become, or the person or that next chapter that I want to step into. And then over time, with habits, that becomes part of who you are. So when it comes to the patterns that you have of thinking, those stories, it's really that inner critic, that loud voice in your head that says, I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. Let's just wait. Let's wait and see what happens, or let's wait to feel clarity. Let's wait to feel ready, right? All of those voices that tell you, like, no. And as we've unpacked this season as well, that's just a mechanism that your nervous system and your brain has in place to keep you safe, because your brain's job is to scan the environment for potential threat. And even if it could be something positive that you want, but it's unfamiliar, the brain will flag it as unsafe. And that's why change is so scary because for the brain, it's like, wait a second, this could be a potential threat. We don't know what's going to go on. We don't know what the outcome will be. So brace yourself. This is not safe for us. And understanding that is so crucial to helping yourself move through those thoughts that hold you back because the thoughts are there to just protect you. And so once you get it, that like, okay, well, my brain's just trying to keep me safe because that's what it's meant to do. And thank you for that, brain. And it's needed in certain scenarios, but not always. So part of the inner work here is just recognizing that the brain's job is to protect you. And you can choose whether or not you want to listen. Meaning, if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone and you recognize this as an opportunity that you really truly want, it's aligned with your values, it feels good, there's a deep desire for exactly what you want. Let's ground this with an example. So let's say you want to start walking every day. I'm not even going to go to the extreme of like going to the gym consistently or going for a run. It's like you want to go for a walk every day. Why? Because you want to be healthier and you want to show up as your best self for your family, for your kids. You want to be able to have energy so you can play with your kids. And that just starts by taking walks. Well, as positive and amazing as that healthy goal sounds, your brain is going to try to keep you in a familiar zone because taking a walk means I need to change my routine. I need to change my patterns. I need to maybe wake up earlier, or I need to maybe take time out of my day to go for a walk, which I'm not familiar with. I need to be outside. I need to maybe get new shoes, right? All of these things that are maybe slight stressors. Maybe it's not enough to hold you back, but those thoughts will pop up in your head because your brain's just doing its job. So that's where you have a choice to be like, okay, thanks, brain. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Yes, it requires me stepping into the unfamiliar, getting a little uncomfortable by adding something new to my day or changing up my schedule. But this goal means a lot to me. Like there's a deeper desire that I really want to get healthy because it's not just for me, it's for my kids or whatever goal you have. Then you're going to be able to override those thoughts a little easier. You're going to be able to take that step forward because you know the importance of it. And that's why I always talk about coming back to your why. Whatever that goal is, what is your why? What is the reason behind you wanting to do this? Sometimes we get lost or we start out strong and we're like, yeah, I'm going to do all of these great things. I'm going to start changing my behavior, and it lasts a week. And then we fall off the wagon. A way to help us get back on track is to really connect with the desire of why we want this. And especially if it's something that's outside of you, there is such power in the ability to connect with others, to do good for the world or for a group of people more than just yourself. So when it comes to finding that goal or finding that recipe for happiness, I would recommend that you make it an interpersonal goal, like how do you want to feel, but also an outer goal. Like what is that going to do for your family, your friends? Is it going to improve you as a person and then improve your relationships? Is it going to help you show up for a community? Is it going to help you lead in a certain way? That will ground it with so much more strength and power that you're going to be able to then move forward with those steps, and you're going to be willing to take those uncomfortable steps and do that consistently until it becomes a habit. And then you're on to the next step. So, mindset shifting and reframing is crucial to behavior change because you need to be open to seeing things a different way. You need to be open to having a different lens, a different way of viewing situations that is different from what you're currently used to. And that's how change happens. Change doesn't start with the perfect plan, it starts when you stop giving your power away to external circumstances and you insource it and say to yourself, this gets to look different because I get to choose what I want to do differently. I get to change the way I think or perceive a certain situation to help me get unstuck and start moving forward. This is why mindset shifting is one of the first things that I do when I work with clients because we need to start becoming aware of those patterns and those old stories and beliefs that are holding us back. If there's a certain way that we've been thinking about ourselves that is usually along the lines of, I can't do something, or If you're somebody who's often late to things, you've labeled yourself as, oh, I'm just late, but that's something you can change. So, step one is always awareness, awareness around your current patterns, your current cycles, and where is there an opportunity to break that cycle, to start changing those behaviors and those actions to get you to somewhere different. Because you can't be doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. If you want something different in your life, you need to change how you approach certain scenarios, how you approach sometimes life. That's why mindset shifting is always the first thing I like to work with. And usually, once we've unpacked some of those old beliefs and we've done some mindset shifting and reframing, we move into the emotional regulation. We start to feel through those emotions that you've been scared to feel, to help you release, to help you accept, to help you really start that healing process from the inside out. Really, really transformative work in this coaching world. But again, mindset is really, really powerful in itself. And if it's one thing that you work on or one thing that you focus on, I highly encourage you to do so, to start looking at perception. How do I shift my perspective? How do I start to think differently? And that is really why I started this podcast, to help you think differently, to help you see things in a different way, to help inspire you to create that change that maybe you're not aware that you have the power to do. And so, with that in mind, let me ask you a question. What belief are you ready to stop living by? Is there an old, outdated story, an old narrative that is holding you back? Or maybe that's an older version of you that you're ready to let go of. What is that belief that you're ready to shed? And what would happen if you chose something that's more true to you? If you rewrote that narrative, if you had a new chapter in your story, what would that look and sound like? So, if you remember just one thing from this season, let it be this: you're not broken, you're not behind, you don't need to earn your freedom. You're allowed to change, to evolve, to want more, to walk away from what no longer fits and walk towards something that does. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for your courage, your presence, your heart, your willingness to just hear what I have to say, what my guests have to say, and maybe even try some things out for yourself. I hope you take what landed with you from this season, maybe re listen to some episodes or go back and catch up on episodes that you missed. And on the topic of mindset shifting, change, let me leave you with this. Change doesn't happen from knowing more. It happens when you do something with what you know. So, what will you do today to bring you closer to maybe the life that you want to live, the habits you want to create, the changes you want to make? But what's that one action? What's that one thing that you can actually do to get you moving forward today? Have a great summer, everyone. See you in the fall.